still of night, where shadows creep. Dan and Norm guide us, no secrets to keep. Through the ancient woods, where lost souls sigh, Bigfoot watches from the depths, lurking nearby. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. Echoes of laughter from realms out of sight. Ghostly apparitions dance in the pale moonlight. In haunted halls where shadows entwine, Dan and Norm lead us through the veil of time. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. Through fog and fear we venture deep into ancient mysteries where secrets sleep. With every heartbeat we draw near to enigmas hidden in the atmosphere. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. So hold on tight as we drift away. Dan and Norm will return another day. In dreams we'll wander where shadows roam free. At the gateway to the unknown, come explore with me. As echoes linger in the night's embrace, ancient mysteries whisper, they leave a trace. With every thought that fades into dark, the gateway awaits, it ignites a spark.
Human auras and energy fields have fascinated people for centuries, weaving their way through spiritual traditions, holistic healing, and even pop culture. The idea is simple but profound. Every living being is surrounded by a subtle, often colorful electromagnetic field, an aura, that reflects our physical, emotional, and spiritual states. The claim to see these auras as luminous halos or vibrant clouds, while others sense them as vibes or feelings when meeting someone new. Ancient systems like Hinduism describe the aura as a layered, with each layer tied to different aspects of health and consciousness. Modern practitioners use everything from meditation to specialized cameras to explore or read these fields. While science remains skeptical, millions believe that auras offer a glimpse into the unseen energies shaping our lives. Whether you're a staunch believer or a curious skeptic, the mystery of auras continues to spark awe, debate, and the occasional goosebump.
Welcome to the Gateway to the Unknown podcast. I'm Dan Hagman.
And I'm Norm Domek.
Norm, here we dive headfirst into the world's most mysterious phenomena, blending open-mind curiosity with dash of humor. Tonight we explore the glowing, swirling, and sometimes downright dazzling subject of human auras and energy fields. Are they real? Are we just a radiating light, walking disco ball? Let's find out together. Have to ask you, Norm, have you ever experienced anything when it pertains to an aura or your energy field?
I don't think I've ever seen what people call an aura, but I think I've felt those vibes. I think that's pretty normal for most people. You just kind of get that feeling that something, that somebody isn't being truthful, or that they are being super genuine, and you can kind of connect it's your gut feeling. I think that's all connected.
I know, just a quick example, personal experience. Years ago, we used to go to it was a group meeting up near Mercer, PA. And the lady that held the meetings, or monthly group sessions, her first name was Sharon. And good friend of mine by the name of Henry. He was a member of our group and organization, and we'd get together and we'd go up, almost every month. And, had been up a few months prior and talking about different experiences and sharing personal experiences with the group. And it was a large group of people. And this one particular month, we went up, and this woman wanted to meet me. And I had no idea who she was other than, her first name. And I couldn't tell you what she looked like if I saw her walking down the street. And the place where we had the meetings was it was kind of like a church school type setting. And you'd walk in through a set of glass doors into a vestibule, go through another set of glass doors into another vestibule, and then into what they called the Great Hall. And to the right of the Great Hall, you walk back a long corridor into the meeting room. In this meeting room, when you went into it, over on the left wall, from the floor to the ceiling, was a gigantic fireplace. And it was all natural stone, and they had these huge couches and lounge chairs and tables where people could sit, and they'd have a fire going. It was very comfortable, very cozy. And then, of course, it was kind of like a library also, but the books were on the perimeter of the outside walls. And of course, over to the left in the back, or over to the right in the back right corner, they had these 8-foot banquet tables, and they would have 4 tables lined up, a couple tables off to the right, 4 banquet tables back, and then to the left, a couple banquet tables, to give you an idea as far as how many people attended these meetings. Okay. And I was sitting when you went in, if you looked to your right, straight back at the tables, I was at the end of the table, closest to the wall, on the end of the table. Henry was sitting to my left. There was a woman to the left of him. There was a woman to my right, a man next to her, and a woman, and then people the rest of the way on up those tables. When this woman got there, they had to help her from the car into the meeting room. She was very old, very frail, and they had somebody literally helping her get out of the car, come into the hall. And the minute she came through the first set of doors, I got goosebumps. I wish you could see them. But I had a feeling. I can't explain it, but I had a feeling. Eventually, they brought her into the hall, and of course, we're chit-chatting with the people that are around us and just talking. And the minute she came into the hall, I looked at her and she looked at me. We made eye contact. If there was ever such a thing as when somebody looks at you, you've heard the saying, they could have burned a hole through me with their stare or their glare, the way they were looking at me.
Okay.
And I just felt this tremendous presence. I can't explain it, but she never took her eyes off of me. And Sharon, of course, went up and greeted her and brought her directly back to me and said, This is the woman that wanted to meet you. I extended my hand, and she clasped my hand in between hers, pancaked my hand, glaring into my eyes. And the first thing that came out of her mouth is, "You have been taken 23 times."
Wow.
That blew my mind. And she said, "When I came into the building, I was overcome with energy. When I came into the hall, I was absolutely amazed at how large your aura was." She said it shrouded 5 people on either side, each side of me. And she said, "Your aura is the most brilliant blue I have ever seen." And I looked at her and, I'm just blown away by what she's telling me,
Yeah, wow.
And I said, "It's a pleasure to meet you." And she said, "We will discuss this later, and I will go, more in depth and more detailed. We need to sit and talk." And the thing that stuck out with me and still sticks out with me today is, I felt an energy. When she pancaked my hand, I felt a tremendous energy. And it was almost electrical. And the first thing for her to tell me was, "You have been taken 23 times.
Wow. Did she elaborate?
And I'm sorry, what was that?
Did she elaborate as to what that meant as far as your blue?
Well, after we had the meeting, we went over by the fireplace, and we're sitting there, and we're talking. Sharon made us some tea, and we're drinking tea. Apparently, she was referring to alien abduction.
Okay.
And I've had vivid dreams. I call them virtual dreams, which I believe we have an episode at some point where we'll be talking about dream states. But
We do.
the dreams, I call them virtual dreams because it's a dream that seems so real. You'll wake up in the middle of the night, you're having this vivid dream, and you get up to maybe have to go to the bathroom or to get a drink of water. And the minute you go back to bed and lay down and you drop off into a sleep, that dream picks right up where it left off, doesn't skip a beat. And I've had bizarre dreams that I'm laying on slightly an elevated table, elevated feet toward the floor, and I can't move. I can just barely lift my head up. I can move my eyes, and I see a massive wall of all kind of gauges and control panels in front of me. And these beings, all dressed alike, facing the wall, and they're moving their hands and manipulating these controls. And I'm laying there screaming and fighting with every being in my body to try to move and get up off of this table. And they don't acknowledge the fact that I'm screaming at them. That's one of the dreams that reoccurring. I had it quite frequently years ago. I still have it today, not as often. Another dream that I've had is there's a white piercing light, and it's so bright it's blinding, and it's spinning, and there's a black void all around it, and it's spinning, and you're being drawn toward that light. And I'm fighting with every ounce of strength in my being, and eventually I wake up, and it's like I stepped out of the shower soaking wet from head to toe.
Wow.
And that's a reoccurring dream. And of course, we sat and we talked about it, and she said, "Well, you continue with what you're doing. You continue to attend these meetings, you continue to have your monthly meetings, and eventually you'll be brought up to speed, and you'll have a better understanding as to, what has transpired in your lifetime." And I I encourage people that have dreams, what I refer to as virtual dreams. Keep a notepad beside your bed. Keep a digital recorder beside your bed. And if you wake up, you need to use the restroom or get a drink of water, before you lay back down, you write down or record as much as humanly possible of what you were dreaming. And you do this faithfully. And you might look at that periodically and it might seem like a bunch of gibberish, a bunch of, oh, what the heck's the sense of doing this? It's like putting the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle together.
Okay.
Eventually, what you document is going to form a picture. So you definitely want to keep track. And I've talked with hundreds of people that have experienced these virtual dreams, and I've encouraged them to keep a journal, document it. And, eventually it starts to form a picture and helps them understand. You might not like what you find out eventually, but it's a means of being able to cope with what you've got going on in your life.
Okay. Is there a connection between auras and dreams that you know of? Because you were saying that you had a blue aura and you were having, there were dreams about you being taken and things like that. So I wonder if, there's always a connection between everything. So I don't want to say if there's a connection. I wonder what the connection is.
Well, I've researched quite extensively, and I've came across a lot of research that there is speculation that this all goes hand in hand. That's basically all we are, is energy. You've heard of, kind of getting off topic here, but people that talk about, alien abduction. I was abducted and I woke up in my bed. I was floating toward the ceiling and went right up through the ceiling and eventually into a spaceship. That wall, that ceiling, all it is frequency. And if you can take and you can align the body's frequency with the frequency of that wall or that window or that ceiling or the floor, you pass right through it, just like as if it's not even there. And I firmly believe that world governments have experimented with this extensively. And, again, not to get too far off a topic, but time travel. The Philadelphia experiment. Those are all things that we can discuss at another time, but I firmly believe that they go hand in hand.
Right.
There is no such people fear death. There is no such thing as death. Don't be afraid of death. The flesh, the bone, the body ceases to exist, but your energy field passes on to a higher state of being. You cannot destroy energy, no way, shape, or form. Your energy passes on into that higher form or higher state of being.
I've heard that we are eternal energy in a temporary body.
That is correct. That is correct. And it used to bother me thinking about death. I couldn't go to a funeral home. I literally could not go to a funeral home. I literally did not want to go into hospitals. And through my involvement with our organization, the research that I've done, I'm no longer afraid of death. We're here for a very short period of time. Hard to say what is ahead of us, but it's definitely better than what we have right now in the present.
Yeah. I went to my dad's gravesite yesterday, and once I go up and clean it off every so often. And I look down at the dates, and there's that dash in the middle. That's everything. That dash is everything. And it's just amazing to me how that same dash that's on all the other grave sites, it's all different for everybody. Everybody had a different experience. Did they do what they were supposed to do when they were here? Did they, what that dash is, this on the stone is the same for everybody. There's a line of some sort, might be a little more fancy on some of the other stones, but it's still a dash. And it's between those dates, and that little dash is everything. And it boggles my mind. And I was walking through after I cleaned up his headstone, looking at all the dashes, wondering what was their life about. What did they do? What did they not do? What did they want to do that they didn't get an opportunity? There are people, philosophers, that say, if you are a musician, don't die with your song in you. Do it. If you want to write a book, write a book. You want to, climb a mountain, go climb a mountain. Do it, because that's your dash. You can do whatever you want. And it's very surreal, especially when you're, for me, being in that cemetery. It's a huge cemetery with a lot of dashes, and it was just very, it was tough, because I was standing in front of my dad's headstone, and there's other family very close to that, that particular gravesite, but there was just a lot of, thousands and thousands of stones with thousands and thousands of dashes, and they're somewhere else now. I don't know where that is, but they all had their dash. They all had their time. And you can't waste it, because to your point, it goes fast.
Well, they're not gone. They're still with us, and we will be with them again in time.
Right. So let's bring this conversation a little bit back to auras. And there are examples, and I know you're going to read some here in a little bit. And I've heard of examples where an elevator will open, and somebody who can read auras will look at the elevator, and there's these people, she can normally see auras, but these people didn't have an aura, and the door closes and the cable breaks, and everybody who was in the elevator passed. So what do different colors mean? And maybe it means different things to different people. Maybe that's how they perceive it. Like in your case, that spiritual woman saw blue, and it was very large. It extended out from you. So what does that mean? The color. What does the intensity, how far out it extends? What does all that mean? I find all that super fascinating. And there's an example here in 1939. Would you like to read that?
Yeah, in 1939, a Russian inventor, Simon Kirlian, and his wife Valentina accidentally discovered that passing a high voltage across a photographic plate with a hand or a leaf on it produces a glowing image. Excuse me. What may now call the Kirlian aura. This led to decades of experiments and claims that a colorful aura or corona captured on film was the human energy field itself. Though skeptics argue it's just moisture and electricity playing tricks. I don't believe that. You're going to have skeptics no matter what. Right. Even if you have ironclad proof, you're still going to have the skeptics out there, And that's all right. Everybody's entitled to, what they want to believe. Another example, a family in Sedona, Arizona reported seeing shimmering colors around each other during a particularly intense thunderstorm, and this happened back in July of 1998. The family is known for meditation practices, described the colors as hazy rainbows that shifted with mood and conversation. They claimed the auras grew brighter as the storm intensified, leaving them with a sense of deep connection and peace.
Right. There are a few more examples here. It says in the spring of 2016, a yoga instructor in Portland, Oregon began seeing soft blue and green glows around her students during evening classes. She described the auras as gentle halos that pulsed in time with deep breathing. Her experiences led her to train in Reiki and aura reading, eventually opening her own holistic healing studio. And another one, at a wellness retreat in Bali in 2022, participants reported seeing vivid colors around a meditation leader during a sunrise session. The group described the colors as golden and violet light that seemed to shimmer and dance, especially as the leader guided them through breathing exercises. Some believed it was a sign of heightened spiritual energy.
That's interesting. A few more. In 2005, a high school student in Manchester, England, claimed to see a red haze around a classmate's movements before the classmate fainted. The student had a history of such experiences, later learned that the red is often associated with physical distress or strong emotion in aura lore. Another one, a historical healer in Santa Fe, New Mexico, recounted a session in which she saw a client's aura flicker from yellow to deep gray. The deep gray is one color I've never heard of before. But moments later, the client revealed a recent bout of depression. The healer took this as confirmation that auras reflect emotional states, though she admits she can't always predict what she'll see. In 2019, a photographer in Los Angeles used specialized aura imaging equipment at a music festival, captivating vibrant, multicolored halos around the attendees. The photos became a viral sensation, with people lining up for hours to see what their energy looked like on film. And I forget where we were. We attended an event where they actually had a photographer there that would take your picture to reveal your aura. And somewhere around here, it's packed away. I have that, but the lady I spoke of earlier that said mine was the most brilliant blue she ever saw, and several years later, we were at this event where we had our picture taken, and sure enough, the aura that was coming off me was again brilliant blue. I'm not 100% certain what all the different colors mean, but apparently they do have meaning, as some of the examples have revealed. Another one, an artist in Brooklyn, New York, began painting portraits based on the energy she sensed around her subjects. She described seeing bursts of indigo, emerald, and around creative types, and softer pastels around those she found to be calming. Her work was featured in a local gallery, sparking debate about whether auras are real or just artistic intuition.
Well, if they are artistic intuition, does that make them real? I would say yes. And these auras kind of sounds like a mood ring when it's associated with emotions. So I wonder what that connection is. Is the aura not seen by everybody, But if you have a mood ring with a certain rock or crystal, does that help the energy be a little bit more visible for everybody in some way? So that's pretty interesting. I like that. I like that.
Back in the day, did you ever own a mood ring?
No, I was just told that my emotions are shown on my face, like or whatever. So I've never had one. Have you?
I used to have one I'd wear on my pinky, and that thing, it would just change colors, like a rainbow. And if I were to really look through all the junk, I'm a pack rat. I don't throw anything away, but I probably still have it around here somewhere. But
did you find?
There are.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So did you find that there was a specific emotion or mindset that was associated with a certain color?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Whether or not there was any association with the mood that you were in, or the mood that you were feeling with the color of the mood ring, I can't say yes or no, but it would definitely reflect the mood that you were in. If you were angry, it would change to one color. If you were happy and giddy and jovial, it would change to another color. Then there were times where it would just seem to go through phases and go through different colors. But I do believe that you could probably go to Amazon and type in mood ring. You could probably still get them.
I wonder if you have vendors that people that that sell those. A lot of people, hundreds and hundreds of vendors. So I'm sure somebody somewhere that has that. So we'll pose this question to the audience. If you sell mood rings, let us know. Let's get your link up on the page. Let's do that.
Absolutely.
Let's do that. I think that'd be.
I know, not only mood rings, but they make pendants. Probably, men and women both could wear it. It has to come in contact with your body, and I've seen them, and they still have. They got to be out there. They still have to be available.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do that with the audience. And so, if it's okay with you, I have a short story from the mailbag that I will go ahead and read. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. It says, "My name's Lisa, and I live in Davenport, about 50 miles north of Chicago. Last fall, during one of those crisp summer evenings, when the leaves were just starting to turn, I was curled up on my couch with a mug of tea, watching the wind whip through the old maple outside my window. My living room was cozy, dim, lamp-lit, vintage floral wallpaper, and the faint scent of cinnamon from a candle on the mantle. I just finished reading about auras, and feeling playful, decided to try the soft gaze technique I'd seen online. I stared at my own hand against the cream-colored wall, half expecting nothing. But as the minutes ticked by, I noticed a faint, pale blue glow outlining my fingers. I blinked, thinking it was a trick of the light, but the glow remained, shimmering gently. Suddenly, my cat Moxie jumped onto my lap, and for a split second, I saw a flash of green around her, too. The colors faded as quickly as they appeared, but the experience left me buzzing with excitement and a little awe. Maybe it was the power of suggestion, or maybe, just maybe, there really is more to us than meets the eye."
That's interesting. Very interesting. So, I honestly have to say that I've never really looked at anyone that I could honestly say that I've seen an aura. But I definitely know that there is definitely something to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what about some theories of, there's a bunch of theories, bunch of conspiracy theories. Let's talk about a few of those.
Well, conspiracy theories, you're always going to have the conspiracy theorists out there. Some believe that the government agencies have secretly studied human auras as a form of psychic surveillance or lie detection using classified technology to read energy fields during investigations. And I believe that. I firmly believe that. Another one is there's a theory that major pharmaceutical companies suppressed research into auras and energy healing because it could have threatened the lucrative business of controversial medicine. And I think there's a lot of truth to that one. A popular online conspiracy claim that aura photography technology is being used to collect biometric data for a shadowy global database. That's interesting. Certain fringe groups argue that only a select few possess the true ability to be able to see auras, and that mainstream science deliberately discredits them to maintain control over spiritual knowledge. And another one, some say that ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and the Mayans had advanced knowledge of auras and encoded this wisdom in their art, their architecture, only for it to be lost or hidden by later rules. And I firmly believe that. I know back when I was in high school, I remember arguing with my teacher. I don't care about, the Egyptians. I don't want to hear about the Mayans. I want to talk about the future. And he used to tell me, he used to say, Dan, I think you were born 200 years too soon. Science was my best subject. And I was always interested in the future, what lies ahead. Had the opportunity, went to Chichen Itza, and we actually took a tour to the Mayan ruins. And when we got there, Norm, I could not get enough.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did not want to leave. I just wanted to absorb and learn as much as I possibly could. And one of the ruins that they were just excavating, they were just digging it out. You know what our observatories look like, the domed buildings?
Right. Yep.
They had a building that had the dome on top, and you could walk up a few steps and you could shine a light and look into the doorway of this structure, and you could see carvings on the wall of constellations and planets. And where on earth did they have the know-how and the technology to be able to do that back then?
Right.
Totally blew my mind. And it's on my bucket list. One of these days, my wife and I, we want to go back there, and I want to go to that site with the hopes that, we can go into that building and get a better look and take a lot of pictures, and just absolutely fascinating. It really is.
Yeah, maybe do a charcoal rubbing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That would just be amazing. So
it's the aura phenomena. It's a fascinating phenomena, and I know that we've just touched on the surface. There is so much more to it.
Right.
But what do we have as far as facts about auras, Norm?
Well, buddy, you should ask, because I have a whole page written right here, so that's good.
Okay.
That we're prepared. Every living human emits a low level of electricity, forming an electromagnetic field around the body. A little bit more to that is it's kind of like our own cell phone number, our frequency. A cell phone is a frequency, the cell phone number. So when you call somebody, it's a specific frequency, and we have that naturally occurring. So we have our own IP address. If we look at it from like a computer network, we have our own computer on the network based off of that frequency, which is amazing to me, absolutely amazing. Ancient traditions such as the Vedas describe the aura as having multiple layers, each linked to different aspects of health and consciousness. Specialized cameras like those used in Kirlian photography can capture glowing images around living things, though the effect is explained by moisture and electricity. Another fact is studies have shown that children's energy fields can appear larger when normalized for the body size, challenging assumptions about age and aura strength. So it's, in that case, I would say it's the soul. Your soul has the aura, not your body. That's what it seems like to me. The aura is often depicted as egg-shaped, surrounding the body in a luminous halo. Some practitioners claim that auras change color and intensity based on mood, health, and environment. No scientific study has conclusively proven the existence of auras as described in spiritual or holistic traditions that we know of. And let's preface that. We'll say allegedly. We're going to start that on this podcast, allegedly, because there has to be studies out there. There has to be things that we don't know. When we go through the airport and we put our hands in the air and that thing scans us for metal, is it scanning for anything else? I don't know. What other sensors are we walking through without knowing? What data is being collected through TV screens or other electronics? I don't know. Does part of it have to do with aura? Maybe. So I think all of that is really interesting. Another fact is attempts to test aura readers under controlled conditions have not produced results better than chance. But we have the sources on all of these facts, but I think that there's more to everything. The people who fund the studies can guide the studies, no matter what study it is, whether it's paranormal or not. It could be medicine, it could be how well a cell phone performs. So you always have to do your own research with a lot of these things. I'm reading what are called facts, but there's more to it. So I think we need to moving forward in all the podcasts, we need to say, instead of facts, we need to say potential facts. I think that would be more accurate. So the last one here is a potential fact. We'll start now. Let's do it right now. Why wait? Potential fact is the psychological impact of believing in auras can be positive, fostering mindfulness and emotional awareness. That fits better.
It does, yeah.
Talking about some of the mindfulness and emotions, do you have anything that you'd like to add to any of that, or would you like to move into the psychological aspects of things?
Psychological aspects. People believe in or experience auras for a variety of reasons. For some, the idea of a personal energy field provides comfort and a sense of connection to others in the universe. Visual perceptions of auras can be influenced and after imagined. Visual illusions or even neurological conditions like migraines or epilepsy. The power of suggestion or fantasy, proneness to vivid imagination can all play a role in the aura experience. Social and culture reinforcement through books, movies, and spiritual communities can make aura beliefs more compelling. Some people are naturally more sensitive to subtle clues in the body's language, mood, and environment, interpreting them as energy. Others find belief in auras enhanced mindfulness and emotion intelligence. In the end, whether real or imagined, the experience of auras can be deeply meaningful and transformative. And, they've touched on are auras real several times, and they are real. I believe that there's an app that you can download on your cell phone that when you take a picture of a subject, it'll give you their aura. I don't know if it's a free app or if it costs money, but I know I've seen that app out there that's available.
Right.
And you know, nothing else. It's something to experiment with, and you know, take pictures of your loved ones. You know, if you have a small child and they're taking a temper tantrum, download that app, get your camera, and take a picture of them and see if their color of aura reflects the mood that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely something to it. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the sociological impacts. The concept of auras has shaped holistic health practices, inspiring everything from Reiki to meditation and energy healing. Many people seek aura readings for insight into their emotional or physical well-being, fostering a booming industry of healers, workshops, and books. The language of good vibes and bad energy has seeped into everyday conversation, influencing how we relate to others. In some cultures, auras are tied to spiritual status or enlightenment, while in others, they're seen as quirky but harmless beliefs. The idea of auras encourages self-reflection and empathy, prompting people to consider the unseen impact of their actions and emotions. At the same time, skepticism about auras has fueled debates about science versus spirituality. Whether embraced or dismissed, the aura remains a powerful symbol of the mysteries that surround and connect us all. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
You know, while you were reciting that, I don't know for what reason, but something popped into my mind that you've heard of spontaneous combustion.
Yes.
And I wonder if a person's aura could possibly have anything to do with spontaneous combustion.
Interesting. What do you think that correlation might be?
Well, you know, we're energy. If you take and you're walking across the carpet and you go to touch something and you get shocked,
Right.
Could your aura possibly create so much energy that it causes the body to spontaneously erupt?
Wow, that's a really interesting thought. I've never heard that before, but could that spark, could that energy in the aura ignite the fat, because fat burns, that's in our body? And it's just so much energy that we just zaps us, you know? Wow.
I mean, I, for the life of me, don't know why that just out of nowhere popped into my head, you know, but
Well, maybe that's the
it's
answer.
something that I don't know if there's any correlation, but it definitely it makes you wonder, you know.
Right. Sure does. So there are movies and books and things in pop culture that have to do with auras and the, you know, kind of ancillary things that happen with auras. You want to start looking at some of the pop culture?
Yeah. The Radiant Human, a popular aura photography project, has toured art galleries all across the country and music festivals offering portraits of people's energy. And like I had stated previously, you know, my wife and I had attended I can't remember if it was like a festival or, you know, it was an event where they had a photographer there and take a picture, and it was a picture of your aura. And like I said, I still have that. I'm going to have to do some digging and see if I can find that. But another one, the TV show Charmed. And this is one I'm not familiar with, but the TV show Charmed features characters who can see and manipulate auras as a part of their magical abilities. In the book Palestine Prophecies by James Redfield, auras are central to the story's spiritual revelations. That's interesting. There's also another one that the film What the Bleep Do We Know? That explores the idea of human energy fields and consciousness. And of course, there are podcasts out there, podcast show, The Lively Show, and Expanded. And these are podcasts that offer discussion on auras and energy work. There's also the anime Dog Ball Z. I believe that's a Z.
Yes.
Dog Ball Z, which visualizes characters' energy fields as glowing auras during battles. That's interesting. And then, of course, you have the video game, and I've heard of this, and I'm sure our listeners, they'll be quite familiar with it, The Sims 4, Realm of Magic. And that lets players cast spells that affects people's auras. And then Avatar, The Last Airbender, references energy fields and chakras in its storytelling. And then, of course, the last one would be the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Doctor Strange, and uses visual effects to depict mystical energy fields around its characters.
Yeah. So, a couple of things on from that list of pop culture. The film What the Bleep Do We Know? That resonated with me for a couple of different reasons, but there's one thing in particular that there's a scene in there that I had to stop. I was beside myself because I remember, it's one of my earliest memories as a child, taking naps. That's how young I was, probably 3, 4, taking a nap. I would always see almost like a close-up, like I was the size of almost an ant, but what we would now call drone footage, you know, how it circles around a particular point. You know, it was almost like this little anthill with sand. And I remember circling around this anthill and as a ball of light and going in this little anthill. And I say it was an anthill, but it was just a bunch of sand to kind of look like a little anthill. And I remember having that, and I would dream that all the time as a kid, all the time. And in that movie, that scene, that exact scene that I remember as a child 50 years ago was in that movie. And I stopped and I rewinded it, because that's back when it was on video cassette, way back when, 20 years ago when I saw it. And I just kept looking, and I kept looking. And when I did, I had that feeling of being a child taking a nap. Did I connect when I was a child to the movie as an adult? Was there a time slip? Or was it as an adult I connected with being a child? Or is that the same thing? I don't know, but I know it was the same scene, which was so surreal. I was, kind of get the goosebumps. And every so often when I'm looking through television, when the wife and I are looking for something to watch, I'll see that title come up. And she's not into the same types of documentaries that I am, for the most part. So I don't want to put it on there, but it's just interesting that what is that connection? Did I have a premonition when I was young and that was part of it? Is our life laid out and we get different parts? We can, during dream, can we go backwards and forwards, when we sleep? Partly, maybe, is it a parallel dimension. There's all kinds of things that it could be or might be, and all of that. And that's the beauty of the podcast that we have in the paranormal field in general. It's just the questions. Pose the questions. Try to answer them. Nobody's going to be an expert. You can't be an expert on life after death if you've never died. You may have
Correct.
research that you've done. You may have talked to a lot of people. You may have found a lot of what you would consider shared truths, which we would then kind of call it fact. But, looking at your study, we tend to find what we're looking for, and we can skew our questions towards the results that we want to, have. That's bias. That's all. That's what that is. So how do we have unbiased reports and our unbiased, research into what we do? And I think part of it, people will go out and look for Bigfoot because it's fun to go camp it. And you can kind of let your imagination run wild with things like that. And so backing it up to the paranormal, backing it up to auras, backing it up to what the bleep do we know? We don't know anything. We can think we know stuff, but everything we know, all knowledge that man has, we taught ourselves. Why do we call an orange? Because, well, that's the color orange. Well, who said this is what we're going to call this color? We taught ourselves everything. So what do we really know?
Amen. Well, Norm, what can you tell us about debunking? Anything with debunking?
Well, I think that people are always going to try to make money somewhere. And, how do you, when you're trying to prove something one way or the other, you can, again, guide your results. And people will test. Scientists have repeatedly tested claims about auras and photography, but controlled experiments have failed to demonstrate the existence of auras beyond visual illusions or physical phenomena like heat and moisture. Skeptics argue that what people interpret as auras are often after images, perceptual distortions, or the result of suggestion. Kirlian photography, once hailed as proof of auras, is now widely understood as a natural electrical effect. Neurologists and psychologists suggest that belief in auras may stem from normal brain processes, fantasy proneness, or even certain medical conditions. Despite these efforts, the allure of auras persists, perhaps because the mystery is half the fun. Kind of like Bigfoot. Mystery is half the fun. You get to go out in the woods and enjoy what's happening out there. If you want to look for lights in the sky, you get to go sit out on a beautiful night. We've done that with friends and had just really awesome conversation. And we did find some lights that we couldn't explain, many of them, So the question of what's real and what's not, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's auras, can crystals heal? What are pixies and fairies, and is Dracula real, or was he real, or was it just a historical character? We take a little bit of truth or a little bit of history and add our own flavor to it and put it in the context of what's happening in the day, what's happening currently. And we look at all that, and then we add, little sprinkles of imagination in there. And what if, we add that curiosity factor. And I think that's where a lot of people, that's the fun part of all of this, is because we can ask so many questions and we can try to find them. And that's the fun part. That's the interesting part. That's where you go and you meet like-minded people. And that's where you go and meet people who have an opposing view. There are things, the debate of Bigfoot experts who say, for example, Bigfoot is interdimensional. It can disappear. That's why facts are there and then they're not. And then you have Bigfoot experts who say Bigfoot is physical, and that's why you can see it with your eyes and you can see the footprints because it's a physical being. There are no experts. There's just a lot of pictures. There's some videos out there. Are they all real? I don't know. Are they all fake? Probably not. There's all kinds of different things out there that are really, really interesting, and that's part of it. If you try to layer integrity and weave that through all of your investigations or research or whatever it is you want to call it, then you have your results are going to be a little bit better received by other people with integrity, right? So
Very true.
Trying to debunk anything, whether it's Bigfoot or aliens or auras or the healing effect of natural herbs, you gotta just do the research and get out there and do it with integrity, and don't call yourself an expert. You can say that you've researched thoroughly. I think that's the best that anybody can really say, right?
I agree.
I
agree.
Get out there, have fun, do the Scooby-Doo thing, right? Get there and do something, invest, get in the mystery machine, whether it's a Subaru or Ford or whatever the heck it is. Go meet some friends, go in the woods, go do stuff, enjoy the experience, get the research.
Amen.
Have fun, make those human connections. I think that's probably more important than finding the answer. Everybody wants to find the answer and get in the history books, but it doesn't matter. I mean, these histories, these mysteries in history, they continue to unfold. I mean, how much, the pyramids, take the pyramids, for example. There are so many things that we learn every year, and those pyramids have been around for a long time. Some people say 15,000 years based off of the way the stars were back, the way the alignment is. Some people say they're over 100,000 years. Some people say they're over 1,000,000 years, and they were underneath the ocean based off of the erosion that's on the near the top. And then they find out that what we can actually see is based off of, it's built on top of other older pyramids. Well, how old are they? If the ones that we see are 1,000,000 years old plus, how old are the ones underneath?
For sure.
And now they're even finding stuff underneath. About a month or so ago, try not to date the podcast, but they found all these columns that go way down underneath the pyramids. Okay, wow. What else are they going to find when they start digging and going down and looking at that? Is there something underneath that?
And hopefully they'll be forthcoming, and they'll let people know what their findings are.
I think eventually drops come out, but I think there are buckets of information that we don't know. We get a drop or two, but I don't think we're going to get disclosure. I'm going to say that word out loud here. We're supposed to get it. It's always coming. It's always 2 months away. Oh, we're going to make a big announcement. It's going to change everything. Okay. How long has that been? Since 1940? It gets everybody excited. Oh, is it disclosure? Oh, yeah, And I don't want to name names on here with, doctors and people who are in charge of the AARO and all of these things. It's like, it's coming next month. We had to get the report ready and, disclose it in just a certain way, but it's coming. It's coming for sure. Okay.
We have to remain hopeful.
Yeah. But at what point does optimism become disappointment? Frequently.
I agree.
I would think
frequently. I agree.
Because everybody says it's coming. Pop your popcorn. Get ready for the show. Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets.
I agree.
So that's my take on the whole thing. Now, do I think disclosure would be good about auras, about aliens, about Bigfoot, about true history of Egypt or Dracula? I don't know. What is good? What is bad? That's all. What's good to one person or organization may not be as beneficial to another person or organization. What are the facts? And the facts are always written by the people who won the wars, or who control history, or who control the money, or all of those things. So what do they, whoever, in quotes, whoever they are, what do they want us to know? What do they want to keep from us, and why? Is it because knowledge is power, and if we have the knowledge, we can then tune in to, strengthen our aura and connect with each other in ways that the people in charge don't want us to? I don't know. I don't want to get, the whole us versus them, the elites, if you want to call people elite. I don't never really like that term. The people who make the rules is probably a better term, but what knowledge is hidden and why? What knowledge would be beneficial for everybody to push our species, our civilization forward? What are all those books in the bottom of the Vatican and all those relics in the bottom of the Vatican? Why can we
For sure.
find out what they are? Why is that not open to the public? If you tithe, if you're a Catholic and you pay the Catholic Church, shouldn't you be allowed to see what's in the bottom of there? I don't know. It makes sense to me.
Well, even if you're not, regardless what, faith you are, that belongs to the people of the planet Earth. I think every one of us should be entitled to see and know what is there.
Absolutely.
But I think to sum it all up, Norm, two words.
What are you?
Power and control.
Yep. I agree with that.
Yep.
I agree.
But in conclusion, again, this is a fantastic topic, a very interesting phenomena, to say the least. That the mystery of human aura as an energy field endures, straddling the line between science and spirituality. While skeptics point to illusions and scientific explanation, countless people continue to report vivid, meaningful experiences with auras. Whether you see them as colorful halos, feel them as vibes, or simply enjoy the idea that there's more to us than meets the eyes, auras invite us to explore the boundaries in perception and belief. As technology and consciousness evolves, who knows what we'll discover? Maybe one day, science will catch up with us with mystical and healers have sensed for centuries. Until then, keep your mind open, your vibes high, and your stories coming. We'd love to hear about your encounters or your experiences with the unknown. Send us tales of auras and energy if you've experienced it, if you've seen it. We would definitely love to know. Stay curious. Remember, in the gateway to the unknown, everyone's energy is welcome. And again, auras, they're real. And the powers that be, I think, would want to keep us from knowing the full truth. And the only way that we're going to have the full truth is by spreading the word, by reporting such incidents. If you're that type of person that has the capability of looking at someone and being able to see their aura, whether it be red, blue, green, yellow, orange, or rainbow, those colors all are meaningful. They have meaning. As to what the exact meaning is, I think that it's been distorted, and we've been lied to all our lives for so long, and this information is being willfully withheld from us. And, we need to come together and share our experiences. And that's the only way the truth is ever going to come out.
I agree with that. And I like the fact that you said keep your vibes high. I think that's important. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes to keep your chin up and your shoulders back and keep going forward, but we're not alone. We have each other. Sometimes I think we tend to forget that. We get in our own little bubble, get in our own little routines, but we're all in this together, whatever this is, and I think this is a good time for me to say that I love you, Dan. I think you're an awesome guy and I appreciate you doing this. I like working on this project with you, so thank you very much for all your insight and all of your experience. I think it's so helpful. Personally, to me, it's helpful to our audience in personal ways. We talk about some pretty personal things here. We'll talk about death and that it's not the end. And, a lot of our audience is a little bit older, and that's got to be on the minds of a good percentage of our people. So
absolutely.
Of our audience, of our friends. A lot of our friends are, 60 plus, 70 plus, 80 plus, 90 plus. We're all in this together, and, we are eternal energy in temporary bodies, and we just got to keep our vibes high, keep our energy high, and be kind to each other and be nice to each other. And even if we don't know each other, those random acts of kindness, I think, are pretty important. So
amen. And regardless if you're skeptical or you're a firm believer, whatever that case may be, keep your vibes high, and there are good things to come, and we have to be there for one another. We all have our off days or bad days, but just remember, better things are ahead for each and every one of us. And with that, I want to thank you for joining us. Looking forward to bringing our next episode to you. And again, if you've experienced anything with being able to see people's auras, please reach out to us. We would love to hear your stories. And with that, stay safe, God bless, and thank you for joining us at our podcast here, Gateway to the Unknown.
Take care.
Take care.
In the still of night, where shadows creep.